All right, YouTube, this Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit. This is my second video on the migrant topic, and this is my second reaction to Anton Daniel's coverage of it. And I'm making the follow up because new information. He's brought new information to the table, which is the migrants have been snuck into Boston and snuck into Detroit. So as the news comes in, we got to report on it to keep y'all posted. You know, in this video, Anton is a little worked up about the situation because I am too. You know, Anton worked in a factory. He from here. My family worked in a factory. I worked in these factories in Detroit. So I feel, you know, his sense of urgency because people are really not paying attention. And I agree with him on, you know, a lot of Detroiters, a lot of people, y'all paying attention to a lot of other things while they sneaking these migrants in. And it's crazy because the migrants is taking over shelters for people who homeless in the city already. So I'm gonna do a reaction to this video. It's for fair use under the 1976 Copyright Act. It's for commentary and educational purposes. All right, Anton, go on and kick it again. Calm down.
Days, both Boston and Detroit is making the news. I'm not happy about this. I dreaded it. I absolutely contemplated whether or not I wanted to talk about it, but the best way to solve for it is to bring visibility to it, in my opinion. And I don't have this platform for nothing. I might as well just get straight to it. All right, so word on the street is that migrants. Hold on. Word on the street is that we got migrants hanging out in Boston at the airport and that they starting to make their way over to Detroit. Hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get to it, y'all.
A stunning look at the migrant crisis in our state. This piece of video shows dozens of migrants lined up, sleeping on the floor of Terminal E at.
I want y'all to look at this. Hold on, let's back up. Thank God that we got social media to capture this footage right here. Let me make sure that I move that out the way. You see that, y'all? This is at Terminal E. So if anybody is flying into Boston, into the airport, if anybody is flying into Boston, into the airport, I want you to make a slight detour. Go like 45 minutes early. Take your time. Go and capture this footage and then send it to me. All right? This is Boston. This is Boston, ladies and gentlemen. At the airport, sleeping bags, clothes, shoes, toothbrushes, and nothing but opportunity over in Boston, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you something. They are sleeping in Terminal E over in Boston now. And the word on the streets is that because New York is becoming so overwhelmed, in Chicago, in Denver, in Atlanta, and Los Angeles, that they're now starting to make their way into Boston. And they said, listen, I heard that this opportunity's over in Boston. We're going to go ahead and get.
To me, what Anton is describing is an invasion. It's an invasion. For real. A hostile takeover, to be exact.
Get some safe shelter over in Terminal E because they got them big windows. This is what's happening in Boston, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, it is going to every single city in the United States of America. And this is why we can't just look at it and say, okay, well, it's okay for it to happen over there as long as it's not happening in my city. Because eventually it's going to overrun those cities. And we see what happened to those cities. We see what happened to the budget. We see what that people was having panic attacks. Now it's starting to infiltrate every single American city. Again, this is Boston's airport, y'all.
Terminal E at Logan Airport. WBC's Louisa Mueller is live for us at the State House tonight. Louisa, the video that we just showed was taken just a few days ago. So are the migrants still there at the airport?
David, I am told they are back there tonight, but they weren't there this morning when I visited. The migrants have told my contacts themselves that they're getting
Oh wow. So they keeping them in there at night and then getting them out of there in the morning so the people don't see them. These some sneaky little politicians, ain't they?
On buses and leaving during the day and coming back in the evening. So we asked lawmakers, is there a coordinated effort to move the migrants during the day, and what does that cost?
Yes,
and their answers were somewhat ambiguous. Last week, our camera captured dozens of families sleeping on the floor of Terminal E at Logan. Little ones toddling across the floor, and babies. The issue isn't new. Massport officials said migrant families were sleeping in Logan in November, but the numbers are startling. Some estimate more than 100 folks.
There's lots of children, a lot of children.
Bedford woman Katura Dews has been visiting the airport, providing resources to the families and speaking with them.
A lot of well-care stuff, because a lot of them, while they're at the airport, they don't have access to a shower. So there's like some shower wipes, little towels just to clean up while they wait.
With the state proclaiming that there's no room to house more migrant families in emergency shelters, the question is, where are they going during the day? When we visited Terminal E this morning, it was empty. We asked Governor Healy about it. Is state police overtime being used, or are there state efforts to move them from the airport and then bring them back to the airport?
The airport's been a wonderful partner, and I really want to thank the folks at the airport for the tremendous job they've done, including members of the state police who are working their regular shifts, but who are managing the inflow and outflow of folks from the airport. Sources tell our IT.
Let's back up for a second. I don't know who the governor is. Look. In 2024, I'm starting to realize that I'm going to really get to know every single major city mayor and every single state's governor. I don't be knowing who these people are. These people be flying under the radar. But I'm going to start to get to know everybody now all of a sudden, because they not answering the questions, but they doing stuff under y'all noses, under the very noses of the people that they supposedly serve with your tax dollars. They are already working with and partnering, and they're hoping that Anton from AntonDaniels.com only pays attention to Chicago, Denver, New York, and LA and Atlanta. They think that Brandon Johnson is going to be the only one, and Governor Pritzker is going to be the only ones that's coming to the front of the congregation, and They not, because now I'm realizing that not only is this an agenda that's been happening at these states, but it's been happening across the United States of America altogether. And I tried to just think that, hey, these states are going to do the right thing. These governors are going to stand for what's right. But this is an agenda, in my opinion, that I believe is really being perpetuated against the people at a mass scale. It's not just happening in Chicago. It's not just happening in New York and Denver. This is happening on a mass scale. And so when you see a governor or when you see a politician pivot like this, and they answer around the question, but they don't answer the question directly. The question was, is this a coordinated effort? And what are you guys doing? And what are you allocating as far as resources in order to manage this obvious migrant crisis that's happening in our state and our cities that you acting like don't exist? And
I'm starting to not even consider it a migrant crisis. I see it as an orchestrated effort between politicians and big government to replace the workforce and to replace people. I think it's a replacement theory. You know what I mean? I don't even think it's a migrant crisis because the federal government is a willing participant in this invasion. That's just my perspective.
he just basically said, listen, thank you to the airport for being a great partner. And we doing this and we handling this under control. And she just skated around the question and she never really answered it. So you telling me that these states are literally having an influx of people that we are deeming to be illegal according to the laws in the United States of America come in and they're trying to hide them by moving them out by day. Because if you know anything about an airport, and if you've been flying in and out of airports for any extended period of time, you know that airports really don't have a lot going on overnight. You might catch a red eye here and there or whatever, but in a general sense, most flights only happen throughout the day and the afternoon and the early evening, but overnight is nothing that's really happening inside the airport. So they move them in the daytime so that you don't see them, and they've been partnering with the airport to do so, but where the heck are they going in the daytime? So they said you could sleep here in order to have a nice space to sleep at. We're going to go ahead and continue to become a sanctuary city under y'all nose because we know that Chicago is the one that's catching all of the bullets. But this is happening across the United States of America. And am I the only person that's covering this? So you're telling me you got all of these large platforms. And I mean, when I say large, we got the largest platforms. And nobody is covering it. Fox News only cover a smidget of it.
Well, I gotta say this to Anton. I got a small platform and I've been covering it, but ain't nobody biting. Don't nobody want to know. You know what I mean? It's not entertaining or salacious enough. You understand? Because I've been covering it. That's why I've been reacting to Anton's. But he right, the bigger platforms, they avoiding it. The Hassan Campbells and Kwame Browns and Doggy Diamonds and a lot of other big platforms, they're not covering this. They still covering Blueface and that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So it's a good thing that he's covering
it. MSNBC, CNN. I mean, for God's sakes, you got some of the most conservative platforms out there with Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens. We ain't heard nothing from them. Right? We don't hear nothing from any of these people that just continue to have these conversations about abortion rights and Black Lives Matters. They keep talking about the same old thing. I mean, you got some of the biggest YouTubers, and they are completely ignoring the true issue. Am I the only? Now I know I'm the only person that's talking about it on the Black community. I know I'm the only Black person that's talking about it. Everybody else is only talking about something that's entertaining you, but not adding any substance into your life. So, are we the only ones over here on the Millionaire Morning Show that's really covering the issues that's happening in the United States of America without any kind of filter or anybody that's buying us off not to say nothing about it? I don't see nobody bringing this to the forefront of the congregation. Nobody covered the UAW. Nobody is covering the crimes that's happening across the United States. Nobody is really covering the migrant crisis. We've been on this for over a year and a half. All of the conservatives, all of the liberals, they keep arguing back and forth. They'd throw Umar Johnson in front of your face to continue to talk about snow bunnies, but ain't nobody actually talking about the real issues that's happening in the United States. This is a coordinated effort. It's looking like a coordinated effort across multiple different states and multiple different cities, and they're intentionally leaving the border open. They suing the state of Texas in order to make sure that they remove all of the razor wire in order to let people continue to come into this country, and nobody is asking a question. Nobody? Everybody is confused. So you telling me we literally got to source through all of the little details in order to try to find out what's going on and draw from different sources in order to understand what's going on in different cities. And they busting them in the daytime or at nighttime in order to let them sleep, and they getting them out of here hoping that you don't see them before the election seasons come on.
Managing the inflow and outflow of folks from the airport.
Sources tell our I-team that state police are using overtime to cover the overnight shift at Logan. One thing is for sure, Healy says a fix can only come from Washington, and her tone suggested she's losing patience.
We need DC to act. We need Congress to act. The path is there in terms of what needs to be done to fix the border situation, to change some of the asylum processes, and to get much needed funding to interior states who have had to shoulder the burden for a problem that is geopolitical and is not the state's making.
Now, the governor estimates that this crisis could cost our state close to $1 billion next fiscal year. Coming up at 6, we take another look at how she proposes to fund this.
Let's back up now. That's Boston. And this is what's happening in Detroit.
Continue to follow the border crisis beyond our own border.
Yeah, cities like New York and Chicago are running out of resources with the number of people that are arriving there, and migrants are now looking at other cities that could potentially help.
One of them is Detroit, Michigan, where KGUN 9's Adam Klepp reports from outside a city shelter running out of room.
He finna show Freedom House. Freedom House make it so hard for a black Detroiter to get room and board. I'm glad he exposing them. You still got people sleeping on 8 Mile. And y'all sneaking and housing migrants and the people that's sleeping on 8 Mile and down around the Cass Quarter, can't get housing or can't get shelter in the winter. Please, go on and expose them.
Listen. Before we even get into this, I'm going to just be very, very clear. I am not a nice person when it comes to the things that's meaningful to my city and what's happening in our community. You are not welcome here. I speak on behalf and unofficially speaking on behalf of Detroiters. I know that everybody is focused on solidarity as far as the rappers in Detroit and to come up on downtown Detroit and the Lions in the Super Bowl. But I'm just going to say, as a person that absolutely loves, advocates for, has held my city accountable, and also a resident of the city, my official residence and address is in the city of Detroit. My business is in the city of Detroit. The people that I mentor, where I spend my money, where I buy my clothes, how it is that I allocate my funds, is all in the city of Detroit. My investments are in the city of Detroit. You are not welcome here. I don't know if anybody else is going to take a stand. I don't know nothing about our governor, Gretchen Whitmer. She going to throw on her buffs, right? They're going to give her some cardies and say that she's the coolest governor of all time. I know that they're going to do that. I know what they got going on with the city. We rebuilt. You are not welcome. Listen, you may not like what's going on in our city, but we like our city, and you are not welcome into the city of Detroit. Under no circumstances are you welcome. I don't care how much who like and who don't like it. As a person that is an unofficial ambassador and the one that got the biggest platform as far as the most views for any podcaster in the city of Detroit, you are not welcome in our city. Flat out. Everybody else want to just tiptoe around it and they want to just, oh my God, I needed official resources from the government. No. You are not welcome in my city.
This is the Freedom House in Detroit. I just spoke to the CEO, who told me usually in a year they serve about 125 refugees. Now they have over 200 clients and 70 people staying under their roof. In this neighborhood, just west of downtown Detroit, the Freedom House, a nonprofit operating in the city for over 40 years, takes on its latest challenge.
YouTube Premium is ad-free YouTube and background play, so you can watch.
As other cities become overwhelmed with the current situation, we're seeing that we're getting some of that overflow.
The Freedom House's CEO, Elizabeth Orozco Vazquez, says many of the migrants who come to their door expect to be able to work right away, not understanding it's a months or a years-long process to get authorization while their asylum claims are pending in court.
It's really difficult to explain that, and it's disheartening. You can see their face fall.
I'm able to speak with one of the migrants staying at the Freedom House. Per the Freedom House's request, I'm not sharing their name or face. The man tells me he came from Venezuela 4 months ago, and it hasn't gone as planned.
What one expects when coming here is to work and make money to help the families in our country, but I haven't been able to do that.
Did you hear what he said? He said, my expectation, and they don't have no problem with telling you exactly what they're doing. I'm from Venezuela. I'm not going to give you my name because they told you I shouldn't give you my name. But my goal is to come here, get this money, and send it back to my people over there in Venezuela. That's my goal. That's what I'm here for. I'm here and I'm expecting to be able to work and run this checkup and make money on behalf of my family, and then I'm going to send it back to my people over there in Venezuela.
To do that.
Orozco Vazquez says this is a frustrating part of her job.
Local businesses call me and say, We need workers.
Adding if the migrants could legally work, they would become self-sufficient. Then she could free up much needed space.
So the person who wants to work, businesses here in the US that need employees, and they're unable to connect because
And that's the play. That's a part of the play. That's not the entire play, but that's a part of the play. Part of the play is that they want to fill a lot of these roles that you don't want to work, and they want them to be able to be self-sufficient and also replace you as a voter block in order to tie themselves back over to the party that's allowing for the borders to be open in the first place. And the residents and the constituents and the people, y'all are basically making an investment in this because
They got them migrants in Chicago telling the black people they lazy, they don't want to work, they ain't gonna get no more money. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
you got to spend billions of dollars in order to support it.
the US government has put restrictions in place so that they can't work.
Still, migrants tell me this situation is still better than what they left behind.
I still would have come to the U.S. We come knowing the beginning will be hard. By waiting and by God, our problems will be solved.
Wow, it's deep. I hope you guys can see between the lines, or read between the lines. I mean, this is horrible. Why they keep all the other distractions in your face? They replacing you in your communities and in the workforce. Keep your head on the swivel and keep your eyes open. Like, share, and subscribe. Shout out to Anton Daniels. Peace out of Detroit.